If it weren't for the system, he wouldn't know that Yang Zi has a child. And the child still belongs to him. The system makes him a dad. This child is obviously his own. You can't systematically pit yourself and let yourself become a receiver. And at that time last year, he did have a relationship with Yang Zi. So it should be that time. Thinking of this, Lin Xuan looked at Yang Zi with complicated eyes. She must have been very hard working with the child. Lin Xuan didn't listen to the lecture at all in this class. As soon as the bell remembered after class, Lin Xuan got up directly, left the table, and walked onto the stage. Teacher, I have something I want to talk to you. If you have anything, just say it here. Yang Zi looked at Lin Xuan with a complex expression and said, I want to talk to you alone on this matter. All right. Go to the office. Okay. Lu Xinbo watched Lin Xuan actually take the initiative to talk with the new teacher. And also went out with the new teacher. And he was also stunned. Come on. What's the matter? Entering the office, Yang Zi sat down and looked at Lin Xuan. How are you doing this year? Lin Xuan looked at her for a while and said with some anxiety in her heart, It's fine. Lin Xuan looked at the desk. A notebook. It was written to buy milk powder for the babies, wet diapers and so on. He took a deep breath and asked, Do you have a baby? Yang Zi glanced at the desktop and nodded slightly, yes. There are indeed children. Is this child mine? Lin Xuan took a deep breath after receiving her reply and looked straight into Yang Zi's eyes. Hearing this, a trace of panic flashed in Yang Zi's eyes. And then shook her head, No. No. How old is your child now? It's just 3 months. Just over 3 months. Combined with last year's time, it is exactly the same. ZE. Although we had something like that in the beginning. This is our child. If possible, I would like to see the children. After all, I am also the father of the child. Lin Xuan looked at Yang Zi sincerely. Yang Zi looked at Lin Xuan with a complicated expression. The 2 children were indeed her and him. But Lin Xuan was only a student. She felt that there was no need to walk into his life. She could raise 2 children by herself. But he is the father of the children. No matter what, he has the right to see the children. But what if he sees the children and wants to take them away? Although there was a concubine in the family who was taking care of the babies, she had already left when she went home and took him back by herself at that time. If he wanted to take the child away, he couldn't stop him. After hesitating for a long time, when the class bell rang, Yang Zi nodded, Okay. You are over in the afternoon. And I will take you there. Lin Xuan was overjoyed when he heard that he could finally see the little baby. He didn't know how the little baby was. Whether it was very cute. Well. Z. I'll go to class first. See you this afternoon. Go ahead. Seeing Lin Xuan's back, Yang Zi sighed faintly. Perhaps this is the so-called fate. Brother Xian. How about it? Let's drive the black together tonight. Lu Xinbo said eagerly just after school in the afternoon. No. I still have business tonight. Lin Xuan shook his head. Just kidding. Is it important that games have children? Something. Brother Xian. What do you want? When he heard this, Lu Xinbo looked at Lin Xuan incredulously. It wasn't that time. As soon as he said that he would play games at night, Lin Xuan nodded and agreed. And then scored points together. This surprised him too much. I'll tell you another day. I'm leaving now. After saying that, Lin Xuan quickly left the classroom and walked to the office where Yang Zi was. Z. Teacher Yang. As soon as he entered, Lin Xuan was about to call her, but found that there were other teachers there, and quickly changed his name. Yang Zi glanced at him, nodded, packed his things, got up, passed by Lin Xuan and whispered, "Let's go." Lin Xuan hurriedly followed behind her and left the school together. Is the baby obedient? Lin Xuan glanced at Yang Zi next to him, and had to say that Yang Zi's figure is indeed very good. And there are all places that should be there. I can't see that it is a woman who has given birth to a child. The babies are okay. Both babies are considered obedient. 2 babies. Lin Xuan was overjoyed. He thought he had only 1 child. But he didn't expect it to be 2 children. That said, he is now the father of 2 children. I'm going to the maternity store to buy some milk powder for the babies. The diapers are wet. I'm going with you. Although he is still a student, he also found a part-time job during college and made some money. Later, you can also pay for the milk powder for your babies. Not long after, Yang Zi took Lin Xuan to the maternity store. Lin Xuan didn't know what brand to buy for babies' milk powder and wet diapers, so he could only follow Yang Zi to see her choice. There are 2 babies in the family, so I have to eat 2 cans of milk powder every month. And this milk powder can't be bought too cheaply. 1 can of milk powder is 300 yuan. And 2 cans are 600 yuan. Yang Zi explained to Lin Xuan while choosing. Hearing her explanation, Lin Xuan nodded. According to their standards, the average teacher's salary is only 5,000 yuan a month. The baby's milk powder costs 600 yuan a month, plus wet diapers. And those who usually buy clothes for the babies, presumably about 2,000 a month. If you also ask a confinement wife to help take care of the children, it will take almost a month. Around 4,000. After such calculations, Lin Xuan understands that it is not easy for Yang Zi to take care of children. But fortunately, I now know that he will not leave these 2 children to Yang Zi alone. He is the father of the children. And he will also take care of the children with Yang Zi. Zi. Let me pay the money. When Yang Zi had selected everything, Lin Xuan said immediately, "No. I'll pay the money. You're just a student. Where did you get so much money?" Yang Zi shook her head. "At any rate, I am also the father of 2 babies. Anyway, I will pay the money. Don't refuse." Lin Xuan snatched the milk powder cans and wet diapers from Yang Zi, quickly took them to the cashier, and asked the cashier to scan the code. Then took out his mobile phone and opened the VX payment. Waiting for the cashier to put things into the shopping bag, Lin Xuan carried the bag, looked at Yang Zi, and said softly, "Zi. Let's go." Seeing Lin Xuan with a touch of tenderness in her eyes, Yang Zi trembled in her heart and followed Lin Xuan with a hum. Although Yang Zi is a teacher, the school only covers food, not housing. So Yang Zi lives far away from the school. After walking for almost 10 minutes, the 2 of them arrived at their destination. Looking at this community, Lin Xuan frowned slightly. The environment here is not very good. There is a square here, and the ant nearby is also going to the square, afraid that she will dance the square dance at night. Such an environment not only affects Yang Zi's rest, but also disturbs the 2 children. The house here is quite cheap. It costs 700 to 800 yuan a month. So I chose here. Yang Zi saw Lin Xuan frown and explained. "Okay. Yang Zi led Lin Xuan into one of the buildings and came outside a room on the third floor. He took out the key and opened the door. Miss Yang. You are back. Who is this? Just when Lin Xuan was invited in, a middle-aged woman in the room came out. And when she saw Yang Zi coming back, she said hello with a smile. When she saw a man standing beside Yang Zi, she curiously said, Mother Wang. This is the father of the babies. Baby's father. Mother Wang. I will talk to you another day about this matter. You can go back first. We will take care of the children. That's okay. If you have anything, call me. Wang Ma glanced at Lin Xuan, remembered Lin Xuan's appearance, and then took her bag and left the rental house. Oh, in the room. The babies heard their mother's voice and babbled on the bed. Lin Xuan. Sit down first. I'll go see the child. It is good. Lin Xuan put the shopping bag on the table and looked at the environment of the rental house. After taking a look, Lin Xuan went outside the bedroom and watched Yang Zi coaxing the baby inside. Is this my child? Looking at the two cute little babies, Lin Xuan felt as if his heart was about to melt. His feet walked into the bedroom involuntarily. Wow, the baby was shocked when he saw a stranger coming in, and yelled in his mother's arms. Hearing the baby's cry, Lin Xuan panicked and explained helplessly, Baby. Don't cry. I am your father. Baby. Don't cry. He is your father. Hearing the baby's cry, Yang Zi hurriedly coaxed the baby and comforted them softly. Oh, one of the babies stopped crying and looked at Lin Xuan curiously. It's okay for Debao. Bao is a little bit scared of life. And when he sees strangers, he feels afraid, so she cries. This is Debao. This is second treasure. Debao is the older brother, and second treasure is the younger sister. Yang Zi glanced at Lin Xuan and explained to him. Dragon and Phoenix. Lin Xuan looked at Debao. That little face was almost the same as the one carved in the same mold when he was a child. This made him feel a little touched, and came to Debao gently, with a gentle smile. Looked at Debao, and stretched out his hand. Debao. Let Dad hug. Okay. Debao looked at the hand extended by his father, and also extended his little hand, grasping Lin Xuan's thumb all at once. It's soft and cute. This is the only thought in Lin Xuan's mind. Which? Z. Can I hug the child? Lin Xuan looked at Yang Zi for help. Sure. Looking at Debao and willing to get close to Lin Xuan, Yang Zi smiled and nodded. Lin Xuan was overjoyed and hugged Debao in his arms. Perhaps because of the wrong holding method, Debao was twisting his body in Lin Xuan's arms. Lin Xuan. It's wrong to hold a child like this. You should hold it like this. Because the small month-old baby. Because the spine has not yet developed. And the head cannot be lifted. Hold it horizontally, so that the baby's head rests on the adult's elbow, and one hand of the adult embraces the baby's shoulder while the other hold the baby's buttocks with your hands. This position is the most comfortable for the baby, and it is also good for the baby's development. Yang Zi held her second treasure, stood up, and explained while demonstrating. Lin Xuan listened to Yang Zi's explanation very seriously, holding Debao in the way she said. As expected. As the posture changed, Debao leaned firmly in Lin Xuan's arms, looking at the big treasure in his arms. Lin Xuan couldn't help but smile. Debao was in his father's arms, blinking his small eyes, looking straight at his father. Bao stopped crying and looked at his father curiously. Zi, I want to take care of the baby with you. looking at these two cute little babies. Lin Xuan raised his head and looked up at Yang Zi. His eyes full of determination. The babies, I can take good care of them. You are a student. So everything should be based on your studies. Ze. Do you know that since that happened between us last year? I have been obsessed with it. Wanting to find you. And now I have finally found you. How could I give up? You are taking the child by yourself. And I am not by your side. I have made you suffer. Now how can I turn around and leave and let you take the child by yourself? As for my studies. Don't worry. My academic performance has always been very good. So give me a chance. Let me accompany you and take care of the babies. But. It's nothing but. Look at the babies. They have been watching me. They also need dad's care. Hearing this, Yang Zi looked at the two little babies. De Bao's little hands. And still held Lin Xuan's thumb. And what Lin Xuan said was true. Although the babies are still young, they also need father's love. If there is a man in the family, he can usually help. After hesitating for a while, Yang Zi nodded, let's do it. But if your academic performance drops, then you will definitely study hard. Otherwise I won't let you see the babies when the time comes. No problem. Lin Xuan can still guarantee this. Congratulations to the host. For becoming a dad. I received a reward of 50,000 yuan. And the funds have been transferred to the bank card. Note, the funds come on the right path. The host does not need to worry. Get the cooking skills of God of Cooking. Ze. Give me your contact information. It is good. Yang Zi told Lin Xuan her contact information. And Lin Xuan also added her VX. After Yang Zi passed the friend, Lin Xuan directly transferred 50,000 yuan to Yang Zi's account. Seeing Lin Xuan directly transfer 50,000 yuan, Yang Zi was slightly taken aback. Just as he was about to ask Lin Xuan, Lin Xuan immediately said, Ze. You take the 50,000 yuan first. Buy things for the babies. And buy some food for yourself. If you haven't seen it in a year, you will lose weight. In addition, I also plan to visit the house tomorrow. After all, the environment here is not very good. When we find a suitable house, we will move. Yang Zi was very moved when she heard Lin Xuan's words. I just met this man who has a relationship with me. And without saying anything, I transferred 50,000 yuan to myself. And I plan to find a house tomorrow. Lin Xuan. Ze. I know what you want to say. This money is earned by myself. And I am your man. The father of your child. Hearing this, Yang Zi's pretty face suddenly blushed. Own man. She hasn't admitted yet. Wow. Wow at this time. De Bao and Erbao burst into tears. Baby. What's the matter? Hearing De Bao and Erbao's cry, Lin Xuan panicked and looked at Yang Zi asking for help. It should be hungry. The baby doesn't cry. Mom will breastfeed you. Yang Zi quickly comforted De Bao and Erbao. Lin Xuan. You. Please go out first. I want to breastfeed De Bao and Erbao. Good. Lin Xuan put De Bao on the bed and waved to them, baby. Dad is going out first. And I will hug you later. With that, he nodded to Yang Zi. And Lin Xuan left the room and helped bring the room. Although he wanted to stay inside, his wife was unwilling. And he couldn't help it. While the wife is breastfeeding the babies, go to the kitchen and prepare dinner for the wife. You can just try your own cooking skills. When he came to the kitchen, Lin Xuan looked at the dishes in the kitchen. Then began to wash the vegetables, cut the meat, and prepare dinner. Yang Zi was in the room and fed the babies. After the babies were full, they were already asleep. Put the babies on the bed. Cover them with quilts. Then gently opened the door and walked out. Hearing the bang in the kitchen, Yang Zi walked over curiously. As soon as he came to the door of the kitchen, he saw Lin Xuan cooking inside. Hearing the sound of footsteps, Lin Xuan looked at the door of the kitchen and said with gentle eyes, "Zi, you can wait outside first. You can eat after a while. Can you cook?" Yang Zi looked at Lin Xuan in surprise. "That's natural. I used to cook at home. Then I am waiting for you outside now." "Okay." Before long, Lin Xuan brought delicious dishes from the kitchen. There are vegetables, meat and vegetables, and soup. I just order this dish at home. And I can only cook one dish and one meat. Putting the dishes on the table, Lin Xuan went to the kitchen again and served 2 bowls of rice. One of the bowls of rice was placed in front of Yang Zi. And she handed her chopsticks. "Zi, get hungry. Try my cooking skills. It smells very good. But I don't know how it tastes." Yang Zi thought for a moment in her heart. Then took the chopsticks, took a piece of meat, and put it in her mouth. As soon as it was put in her mouth, the meaty smell stimulated her taste buds. It's delicious." Yang Zi was very surprised. "I didn't expect Lin Xuan's cooking skills to be so good. And it was much more delicious than the meals she made. How about it? It's delicious. Eat more if it is delicious. And taste the vegetables when you come." Lin Xuan looked at Yang Zi's surprised little expression. And also showed a happy expression on her face. Personally picking up vegetables for her. "Zi, as long as you like. I can cook for you every day." Hearing this, Yang Zi was very touched. She used to cook all the food at home. But since she came here, she cooks by herself. She cooks a la carte every day and eats leftovers at night. Nowadays, there is a man who is willing to cook for herself every day. She is really touched. After dinner, Yang Zi did not ask Lin Xuan to wash the dishes, but to wash the dishes by herself and let Lin Xuan sit in the room. After washing the dishes, Yang Zi checked the time. And it was already past 8 o'clock in the evening. "Lin Xuan, it's too early. You should go back today. If it's late, the dormitory should be closed." "Okay. Tomorrow I will go to see the house. And after the house is good, I will move. If there is anything, call me. I will come over as soon as possible." "Well, I see. Thank you. Why are you so polite with me? I'm your husband." Hearing this, Yang Zi blushed pretty. And Lin Xuan glanced at it and muttered. Lin Xuan knew that she would not admit that she said so now. But if there was time, he would let Yang Zi call his husband. "Zi, I'll go see the babies. And then go back." Lin Xuan got up, went to the bedroom, looked at the sleeping Debao and Erbao, kissed them on the cheek, and exited the bedroom. "Zi, then I'm leaving." "Okay. Pay attention to safety on the road." Lin Xuan was in a good mood. Along the way, thinking of 2 cute little babies, smiles couldn't help but show up on his face. Tomorrow, I can find a house by myself. And then I can move out of the dormitory and live with Z and the babies. Back to the dormitory. Watching the three roommates line up, Lin Xuan smiled slightly. Brothers. I'm a father. When Lu Xinbo and others heard this, they were slightly taken aback. And then congratulated. Brother Xian. Are you a father? Congratulations. Congratulations. No. Brother Xian. You actually take advantage of us. After the reaction came over, Lu Xinbo stood up directly and hammered Lin Xuan. Because when Lin Xuan came in just now, he was shouting sons. Doesn't that mean that they are his? Why are you hammering me? What I said is true. Lin Xuan also hammered him, with a serious expression on his face. Really? Brother Xian. Are you afraid that you are bragging? We don't know you yet. We usually play games with us in the dormitory. Only on Saturdays and Sundays do we go out part-time. Some students in the school send you love letters. But you don't have any. Then, how could you suddenly have children? Could it be that you became someone else's receiver? On one side, a roommate with eyes looked at Lin Xuan and analyzed. His name is Li Tang, who is also Lin Xuan's friend and roommate. I say now. You don't believe it either. I will take you to see you another day. And you will know that it is my child. And it is still a pair of twins. No. Brother Xian. Do you really have a child? Who is the woman? Why haven't you heard that before? Seeing Lin Xuan speaking seriously, Lu Xinbo still didn't believe it. Why suddenly Lin Xuan had a child? Secret. Are you envious? Ah. I know you are envious. My two little babies are very cute. And my wife is also very beautiful. Brother Xian. Let's talk about it. You haven't told us who the woman is. I won't tell you this for now. If you have the opportunity, you will definitely see it. Considering that Zi is a teacher in the school, Lin Xuan does not intend to expose her and her identity for the time being. Of course, you have to ask Ziyi's opinion. If Ziyi agrees to be exposed, then she will tell her three roommates again. Brother Xian. If you really have children, what do you do? Stop going to school. Study must continue. If I go to school, she will not agree. Anyway, our university courses are few. And sometimes we can take care of the babies. Okay. Let's not talk about it. I want to rest early tonight and go out to see the house tomorrow. Look at the house, Brother Xian. You want to move out? Of course. Now that I have a baby, I naturally want to move out and live with my wife and children. Damn. Brother Xian. So you are going to abandon us? My heart hurts so much. You are really a lover than a friend. Lu Xinbo covered his chest and said with grief. Go. 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 If you say that, others think I have something to do with you. You guys keep playing. But don't make it too loud. I'll go to bed first. Yes. Since Brother Xian is going to sleep, let's not play anymore. The next day, Lin Xuan got up and went to the classroom. After a few classes, he left the school at noon and went to see the house. Although the system rewarded 50.000 yuan, he transferred all the 50.000 yuan to Yang Zi. However, he has also transferred tens of thousands of yuan while working part-time this year, so he can find a better house. After walking around the school, Lin Xuan continued to search for no suitable one. The house. Naturally. Find a quieter place. If it is too noisy, not only will the baby not sleep well, but Zi will also not sleep well. After going around, Lin Xuan quickly found a suitable community. There was a road outside the community. And there was a park in the community. Many elderly people were resting here. There are also many children playing around here. This place is pretty good. After looking at it for a while, Lin Xuan nodded. Took out his mobile phone. Found the landlord's number on the wall. And dialed it. Hello there. After a while, a middle-aged man's voice came through the phone. Hello. Do you have 2 rooms and 1 living room for rent? Yes. Are you there now? I'm here. Well. You wait a while. I'll come over right away. It is good. Not long after, a middle-aged man walked towards Lin Xuan with an inch shirt, shorts, and flip-flops. Looking at his clothes, Lin Xuan smiled slightly and said hello. Hello. Is this the landlord? Yes. May I ask? My name is Lin. Lin Xuan. Mr. Lin. Hello. The house is on the 3rd floor of this building. Our community is usually quiet. There will be no old people dancing square dancing in the park. The landlord introduced Lin Xuan. That's good. Take me up and have a look. Okay. Come with me. The landlord brought Lin Xuan into the building in front of him. And it didn't take long for him to arrive at 302. The landlord took out the key and opened the door. Mr. Lin. This house has 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. 2 bedrooms. All with air conditioning. A separate toilet. A separate bathroom. A separate balcony. And clothes drying. It is very convenient. And it also has a separate kitchen. Lin Xuan nodded. Looked around. Looked around. Satisfied. And smiled. I don't know how much is the rent for this room. The rent is 15,000 a month. And the rent is paid 3 times. This means that when you sign the rental contract, you have to pay 3 months' rent at a time. And at the same time you have to pay 1 month's rent as a deposit. I will return the deposit to you when the contract expires. If you want to withdraw the rent halfway or there is other breach of contract, the landlord will not return the deposit to you. And the rent will continue to be paid after 3 months. Mr. Lin. Can you accept it? The landlord explained the rent for Lin Xuan. No problem. I can accept it. Then please give me your ID card. And I will register it. It is good. Lin Xuan handed the ID to the landlord. The landlord came to the table and took out a notebook from his pocket. And then it was the record. After everything was recorded, Lin Xuan took out his mobile phone and added the landlord's VX. And then transferred 6,000 to the landlord. Mr. Lin. Do you live alone? Or? I live with my wife and 2 little babies. They didn't come today. Then I'll give you 2 keys and the door card outside. The landlord handed the key to Lin Xuan. And then smiled and said, Mr. Lin. If there are other problems with the house, you can find me at any time. Then I will leave first. Okay. Watching the landlord leave, Lin Xuan looked at this room. There were 2 bedrooms. One for himself. And one for his wife and babies. Walking out of the room. Bringing the door. Lin Xuan walked to the school. Tomorrow is Saturday. When school is over tonight, you can contact the moving company. Move. And go to a new house. After class in the afternoon, Lin Xuan went directly to the teacher's office where Yang Zi was located. Seeing that she was busy, Lin Xuan did not bother, but sat aside and watched quietly. I have to say that Yang Zi is really good looking. With no pink and daisy. But the color is like the morning glow and the snow. And the whole body exudes an elegant and refined atmosphere. After Yang Zi sorted out the information, seeing Lin Xuan sitting on a chair, looking straight at her. Her face inevitably blushed. You. When did you come? I just came here for a while. I saw you were busy, so I didn't bother you. Seeing her blushing face because of her shyness, Lin Xuan thought she was very cute and smiled. Is it organized? I have found the house. I will go back first. I will contact the moving company later. And then I can move and go to the new house. It's finished. Let's go. Okay. Lin Xuan went with Yang Zi and left the classroom office together. On the road. Although Yang Zi was about 1.73 meters, Lin Xuan was a head taller than her. Lin Xuan is about 1.8 meters tall. Yang Zi is beautiful. And Lin Xuan is naturally not bad. It can be said that in the school, it is a school grass. And many female students have sent love letters. But they were all rejected by Lin Xuan. Senior Lu. Not long after we left, some female classmates greeted Lin Xuan on the way. Lin Xuan smiled and responded to them. Seeing those girls and saying hello to Lin Xuan, Yang Zi suddenly felt a little bit jealous. And said with a little jealousy, "You are in school. Are you good for women?" Lin Xuan smiled when she heard a sudden sentence, "It's okay. I have been sent love letters to me by some teenage students before." Then you took everything? No, they all refused. Why refused? Among them, there are quite a few beautiful ones. Right? After all, you are also pretty handsome. If there is no such thing between us, maybe I will accept it. But after meeting you, I think my decision is right. I want to take care of you for the rest of my life. I don't know when. After what happened last night. Now she heard Lin Xuan's words. She felt a little sweet in her heart. Before long, Yang Zi took Lin Xuan back home. Babble babble de bao. Erbao. He babbled excitedly when he saw his father coming. Baby. Don't you think Dad? Come. Let Dad hug. Looking at the two little cuties on the bed, Lin Xuan felt that his heart was about to melt. And quickly came to the babies. Leaned over and kissed their little cheeks. Then he picked up Erbao. Erbao was held in his arms by his father. Looked straight at his father. And suddenly laughed. Zi. Look. Erbao smiled at me. Wu de Bao was lying on the bed, watching his father not holding him, sobbing in his mouth. De Bao. Don't cry. Mother hug. Hearing De Bao's sobbing, Yang Zi hurriedly walked over and held De Bao in her arms. Zi. Give you the babies first. I'll clean up the room. After the room is cleaned up, we will move. Wait. I'll coax the babies first. And I'll clean up together later. It's okay. I can still do this. Just stay with the babies at ease. Lin Xuan shook his head and smiled. And said to Erbao, Baby. Go to mother first. Father clean up the room. And we will move later. Putting the Erbao on the bed carefully, Lin Xuan walked out of the room, looking at the surrounding things. And naturally took away the ones that could be taken away. And stayed the ones that could not be taken away. Yang Zi took care of the babies in the room, changing them into clean diapers. And then looking at the busy figure outside the bedroom, she couldn't help but show a smile on her face. After finishing cleaning the outside, Lin Xuan spent more than half an hour packing all those that could be taken away into the cardboard box. Zi. Everything is cleaned up outside. The next step is to clean up the bedroom. I'll clean up the bedroom. You take the babies. Yang Zi. I don't want Lin Xuan to clean up the bedroom. If he sees those personal clothes, it will be no good. Well, I'll take the babies. So you can clean up. Lin Xuan entered the bedroom and looked at Debao and Erbao on the bed. Let Lin Xuan look at them. Yang Zi got up and packed his clothes. Wow, it didn't take long for Debao and Erbao to cry. Baby. Don't cry. Don't cry. Mom and Dad are here. Hearing the cries of the babies, Lin Xuan hurriedly coaxed at a loss. The first time he took a child, he had no experience at all. And he didn't know how to coax the baby. Yang Zi put down the work in her hands and looked at Debao and Erbao. The baby is hungry. The baby does not cry. Mom will give you milk powder. It turned out to be hungry. No wonder I started crying suddenly. Lin Xuan thought to himself. And then asked, Zi, how to mix the milk powder? I will learn. You wait a minute. Yang Zi went to fetch 2 milk powder bottles and a thermos cup, which contained warm water for heat preservation. There is a thermos cup, which can be used to mix milk powder for babies at any time, which is relatively convenient. Bring the powdered milk bottle and open the powdered milk can. The first step is to get a little hot water to sterilize the milk powder. Then put the water first. And then put the milk powder. Because if you add milk powder first, then add water, the milk powder will thicken. Therefore, each must first add water according to the prescribed amount on the milk powder box. And then add the milk powder. When making milk powder, the water temperature should not be too high. When preparing milk powder, water at about 50 degrees Celsius is required. You cannot use boiled water directly. The boiled water will cause the milk to coagulate. The calcium phosphate in it will change from acidic to neutral and precipitate. And lactose will also be decomposed into lactic acid and formic acid due to coking, so that the nutritional value and color, aroma and taste of milk are reduced. After these are set, the next step is to stir in the same direction. The speed should not be too fast, so as not to produce bubbles. If the milk powder has bubbles, it should be placed until the bubbles disappear before giving it to the baby to avoid hiccups. In addition, the milk powder should be fed immediately after it is prepared, because there is a danger of deterioration in the room temperature for more than 30 minutes. As the saliva touches the milk powder at the same time, the bacteria in it also enters into it at the same time to make the milk powder deteriorate. So do not feed the baby no matter how much it is left. Yang Zi explained as she pointed at the milk powder. After her explanation, Lin Xuan could almost understand. Seeing that she had already made a bottle of milk powder, Lin Xuan planned to try the next bottle of milk powder by herself. Zi, I want to try the rest. Although I haven't taken care of the baby, I can learn. Let's do it. I'll watch it from the sidelines. You can try it. Yang Zi nodded, took the mixed milk, walked to the bed, held Erbao, and fed Erbao milk. Plus Lin Xuan slowly mixed the milk powder according to what Yang Zi said. Yang Zi was feeding Erbao while watching Lin Xuan's method. I have to say that Lin Xuan is indeed very smart. And he can learn it soon. Congratulations to the host for completing the first milk powder preparation for the baby, having received a reward of 500.000 yuan. The funds have been transferred to the bank card. Achieving outstanding memory. Everything can be remembered. Get a reborn pill. Born reborn pill. After taking it, the host can stay up to 3 days and 2 nights without rest, without feeling the slightest fatigue. Hearing the voice of the system, Lin Xuan was slightly dazed. He didn't expect to be rewarded by adding milk powder to the baby. If this is the case, then change the baby's diaper and take care of the baby. Wouldn't it be rewarded? Lin Xuan. What's the matter? Yang Zi saw Lin Xuan stunned in place. Wondering. No. Debeo. Don't cry. Dad is here. Lin Xuan recovered. Hearing Ziyi's voice. Shook his head slightly. And then took the mixed milk powder. Came to Debeo's body. And personally fed Debeo. Lin Xuan. It's not like that. Look at how I hold the second treasure. Yang Zi looked at Lin Xuan's actions and shook her head quickly. First. Feed your baby and drink milk. Choose a comfortable sitting position and sit firmly, hold your baby in your arms with one hand. Let your baby lean on your elbow. Your arms support your baby's buttocks. The baby's whole body is inclined at about 45 degrees. Hold the baby bottle in the other hand and touch the baby's lips with the nipple. Bao will open his mouth to hold it and start sucking. When the baby is feeding, pay attention to the inclination angle of the baby bottle to fill the entire with milk to prevent the baby from inhaling too much air. If the is deflated by the baby, you can slowly take the out and let air into the bottle. And the can be restored to its original shape. Otherwise, you can unscrew the cover. Put in the air and close it tightly. Restore the original shape. Otherwise you can unscrew the cover. Put in the air and then close it tightly. Pay attention to the baby's sucking situation. If you swallow too quickly, the hole may be too large. If the amount of milk has not decreased much after sucking for a long time, it may be that the hole is too small and it is very difficult to milk. Don't put a baby who can't sit on the bed. Let him lie down alone and take milk with a bottle. It is very dangerous if the adult leaves for a long time. The baby may choke on the milk and even cause suffocation. After feeding the baby, you should not let the baby lie down immediately. You should lift the baby upright. Lean on your shoulders. Pat your baby's back gently. Let him burp. And expel the air in the stomach to prevent the baby from spitting up milk. Ze. Thank you. If it weren't for you to explain to me, I really don't know this knowledge. After listening to Yang Zi's explanation, Lin Xuan nodded. You're welcome. Yang Zi glanced at Lin Xuan and saw that he was taking care of Debeo and drinking milk very seriously. With a smile on his face. Usually at night, she feeds the babies alone. Relatively speaking, it is not so convenient for one person to take care of the babies. Because the baby needs to master his posture when he is drinking. Every time he feeds the second treasure first. Then the big treasure. Or first feeds the big treasure and then the second treasure. In this case, you can only coax one of the children while feeding the other. Now that Lin Xuan is there, it is much more convenient. After feeding Debeo and Erbao, Yang Zi took the milk powder bottle and went to the kitchen to clean it. After the babies have finished drinking their milk, they need to clean them as soon as possible. Otherwise, bacteria are prone to appear. When she was done, she continued to clean up the room. Lin Xuan looked at Yang Zi's busy figure and knew that she hadn't been around to take care of her this year, which might not be easy. After she packed the clothes in the bedroom, Lin Xuan picked up her mobile phone and contacted the moving company. Ze. I have already contacted the moving company. And I will be here later. Well, during this period, the babies have to wear clothes for going out. The babies are still young and it is not convenient to go out. If there is a little wind, it is easy to catch a cold. Yes. Babies. They are only 3 months old now. So their bodies are naturally not comparable to them. Even if they are just going out for a while, they need to take protective measures. Children, if they are sick all the time, it is quite troublesome. Put on the clothes for the babies to go out. After a while, the moving company called and told Lin Xuan that they had arrived. Ze. They are here. I will go down and call them up. You and the babies are waiting for me in the room. Well. Go. Yang Zi nodded softly. Baby. Dad will go out first and be back soon. After telling the baby, Lin Xuan left the room and went downstairs. When he came to the community, he saw a moving company's car parked in the parking space. And Lin Xuan walked over immediately. Hello. Moving company. Right? It's Mr. Lin. Hello. Come with me. All the salutes are packed. Okay. 4 people came from the moving company at a time. Lin Xuan took them to the 3rd floor together. Entered the room. And asked them to move their things. As for Yang Zi, she took her baby in the bedroom. Because Bao was a little afraid of life. She worried that Bao was frightened by so many strangers suddenly. So she didn't come out. When the moving company moved all the things, Lin Xuan went to the bedroom and looked at Yang Zi. Gently said, Z. Everything has been moved. Let's take a taxi. Let's go there together. Okay. Come on. Good baby. Dad, hold it. Lin Xuan walked in and held Bao in his arms. Then Yang Zi left the building together. Found a taxi outside. And went to the new home together. After the moving company put everything in their new home and paid the money, they left. Yang Zi held Bao and looked at this new home. The area was much larger than the room they used to live in. And it was still 2 rooms and 1 living room. 2 rooms and 1 living room. So does Lin Xuan live with them? Thinking of this, Yang Zi glanced at Lin Xuan secretly. At this time, Lin Xuan met Yang Zi's gaze. Ze. Starting from today, this is our new home. And I will live here in the future and take care of the babies with you. Oh. You accompany the babies first. I take out the things in the carton. And then start cooking. After working for so long. You are hungry too. It's okay. Lin Xuan. Trouble you. Why are you so polite with me? Bao. Go with mom. Dad, clean up the room first. After the room was cleaned up, he took out all the things in the carton. And Lin Xuan walked out of the kitchen to prepare for dinner. Yang Zi was in the bedroom, accompanied by Bao and Bao. Looking at these 2 cute babies, she gently said, Bao. Bao. Do you like your father? Oh, Bao. Bao waved his little hands. Like he was saying, I like it. Then Dad wants to live with us. Do you agree? Babble. Yang Zi smiled slightly. There is a man in the family who is quite good. At least he will take care of the baby with her. And he is also the biological father of the babies. In the kitchen, Lin Xuan hummed a small song, which proved that he was very happy now. Now I am living together with Ze. The next step is to let Ze call her husband. Then when I wait for the summer vacation, I will take Z and the babies back home to see my parents. After making dinner, Lin Xuan went to the bedroom and found that Yang Zi was coaxing Bao and Bao to sleep. Yang Zi heard the footsteps and hissed. And signaled Lin Xuan not to bother Bao and Bao. Lin Xuan nodded. Came to Yang Zi's side. And whispered softly, Ze. I have dinner. Okay. You go eat first. Bao. Bao just fell asleep. I will stay for a while. And when they are asleep, I will come out. Yang Zi also whispered. It's okay. I'll wait for you. After Bao. Bao fell asleep completely. Lin Xian and Yang Zi left the room and went to the living room. Smelling the aroma of the food on the table, Yang Zi made a gurgling sound in her stomach, which made her pretty face blush. Lin Xian smiled slightly. TZ pulled out the chair and said softly, "Ze. Sit down and eat." Lin Xian. Thank you. We are a family. Why are you so polite with me? Lin Xian shook his head when he heard Yang Zi's honorifics. Ze. You see. We also have babies now. How about taking some time to get a marriage certificate? The babies shouldn't be registered yet. Have you named them yet? Baby. I haven't been registered yet and I haven't given a name yet. Actually, I left home since I was pregnant and came here. Yang Zi looked at Lin Xian's gaze and sighed faintly. Oh. Uncles and aunts. Hearing this, Lin Xian was taken aback for a moment. Could it be that he was kicked out of the house because of her pregnancy? If this is the case, then Z has really had a hard time this year. This makes him very distressed. If she hadn't left before, she was sober, forced to leave her, or exchange contact information, maybe it wouldn't be like this. At the beginning, my parents knew that I was pregnant. My dad was very angry and asked me to knock the baby out. But I didn't agree. So I had a fight. So I left home and came here. Yang Zi's eyes reddened, looking at the bowls and chopsticks on the table. Hearing this, Lin Xian sighed and moved Yang Zi around, holding her soft little hand. In a very gentle tone, "It's okay. Z. Now there is me. I will accompany you. If you have anything to worry about in the future, just tell me. Let's face it together." At first, Yang Zi was suddenly held by Lin Xian's small hand. A little bit of resistance. But seeing that he couldn't take it out, he let Lin Xian hold his hand. "I'm 26 now. And I'll be 30 in a few years. You are still young and can meet better girls. There is no need to spend your mind on me. Babies. I can take care of them." What nonsense. If I wanted to find it, I would have found it a long time ago. As the saying goes, female juniors hold gold bricks. In my eyes, you are the most beautiful. I believe in this life. And only you are a wife. Let's face it together in the future. Seeing Lin Xian's serious expression, Yang Zi suddenly chuckled. Smiling like a flower, "Let's eat first." Okay. Eat first. Lin Xian let go of Yang Zi's hand and accompanied her to eat together, during which she also picked up some dishes for her. Although I have tasted Lin Xian's cooking skills last night, I will eat Lin Xian's dishes today and they are still the same delicious. Lin Xian. Why are your dishes so delicious? Actually, my parents opened a restaurant. As you know, if the restaurant's food is not good, naturally there are not many good customers. My parents' food is actually very good. Then, I will take you back and meet your parents. They will like you very much. Will it? What if they don't like me? I will convince them to like you. So don't worry. His parents are very talkative. If they know they have children, they will be very happy. Maybe they will put down the family business and drive over. After dinner, Lin Xian cleaned up the dishes and chopsticks on the table. And Yang Zi also helped clean up. When he arrived in the kitchen, Lin Xian was washing the dishes. Yang Zi held a clean towel and dried the dishes and chopsticks. His wife is here to help. And the babies sleep in the bedroom. Lin Xian is very satisfied with this kind of life. Ze. I will take care of the baby tonight. And you have a good rest. You take care of the baby. Can you do it? Yang Zi looked at Lin Xuan in surprise. A little worried. Didn't you teach me? I can definitely do it. But I can't. How about I call you again? The reason for this is that the system rewarded the reborn bone change pill. After taking it at night, he would not feel tired. But Yang Zi was different from him. He naturally wanted Zi to take a good rest. Yang Zi groaned slightly. Since she had a baby, she has taken care of the baby by herself. And it is true that she did not sleep well. If Lin Xuan can take care of the baby, she can really sleep well. It happens to be Saturday tomorrow, so Lin Xuan can really give it a try. Then, okay. If you encounter something you don't understand, just call me. No problem. Before going to bed, you can tell me how to take care of the baby. It is good. After tidying up the dishes, Yang Zi sat on the chair in the living room, learning about Lin Xuan's knowledge on how to take care of the babies. It's about the babies. Lin Xuan naturally listened very carefully. I said so much. Did you write it down? Zi. I wrote them all down. Then I'll take a shower first. It's not too early. Seeing Zi enter the bedroom, Lin Xuan wanted to ask if he could be together. But he was afraid that Zi would say that this kind of thing could only be said later. Wait until Yang Zi puts on her pajamas and comes out of the bathroom, watching her strands of beautiful black hair fall down like a waterfall. Her curving ame. Her beautiful eyes are stunning. The beautiful Cheong nose. Pink cheeks are slightly red. Dripping cherry lips. Flower-like melon seed face is crystal clear as jade. And snow muscle is crystal clear as ice and snow. Graceful and slender. Beautiful and exquisite. For a time, Lin Xuan was a little silly. Seeing Lin Xuan's gaze. Keeping her gaze on her body. Yang Zi's face blushed. The blush on her face extended to her neck. Lin Xuan. Go take a shower. 2. Okay. Z. You are so beautiful. Lin Xuan stood up and exposed Yang Zi's side, with a touch of tenderness in his eyes. Praised. Hearing Lin Xuan's compliment, Yang Zi's heart thumped and thumped. Giving Lin Xuan a white look and urged, go ahead. Good Lu. Lin Xuan nodded and went to the bathroom. When he came to the bathroom, he took out the porcelain bottle from his trouser pocket, opened the mouth of the bottle, and poured it into the palm of his hand. Seeing the chocolate-colored rebirth, Lin Xuan did not hesitate, and threw it directly into his mouth. As soon as it was in his mouth, the rebirth pill melted and melted into a warm current, flowing into Lin Xuan's lower abdomen. Immediately afterwards, Lin Xuan felt a change in himself, as if he had become stronger and more powerful. And vaguely, his abdominal muscles seemed to have become 8 pieces. Lin Xuan took off his clothes and looked at his abdominal muscles. As expected, he felt completely correct with him, as he had 8-pack abdominal muscles. And his appearance has become more handsome. TSK. I didn't expect this reborn bone renewal pill to have such an effect. When the system rewards another reborn bone renewal pill next time, you can give it to ZE. Thinking of this, Lin Xuan pursed his lips and began to take a shower. After I finished the shower, I remembered that I didn't bring my clothes. It's almost 10 o'clock in the evening now, so I can't make a trip to the dormitory. Forget it. Just go out like this. Clean up the room first. And then you can take care of the babies at night. Lin Xuan walked out of the bathroom in shorts and came to Yang Zi's room, and found that she was not there. And the light in his bedroom was on. Presumably Yang Zi should be tidying up the room in his bedroom. Pushing the door open. Looking at it. As expected. Yang Zi was in the bedroom making the bed for Lin Xuan. Zi. Yeah, Yang Zi heard Lin Xuan's voice. Looked up. And found that Lin Xuan hadn't put on a shirt. And his eyes blushed. She covered her eyes with her hands and looked through her fingers. Why don't you wear a shirt? Yang Zi's face was red. And her tone became a little panicked. Could it be that he thought. But his body is very strong. And he has 8-pack abs. Lin Xuan smiled awkwardly and explained, Zi. I didn't bring my own clothes. I'm going to wash that clothes later. I will go back to the dormitory tomorrow and bring those who salute me. Oh. While Lin Xuan said. He came to Yang Zi's body. Looking at her. Still covering his eyes. Looking at him from his fingers. Can't help but want to tease her. Showing her strong 8-pack abs. Whispering softly, Zi. Do you want to touch it? Hearing Lin Xuan's words. Yang Zi stayed for a while. Couldn't help but stretched out the fingers of his right hand. And slowly touched Lin Xuan's strong abdominal muscles. Is this a man's abs? It's so hard. As soon as his fingers touched Lin Xuan's abdominal muscles. Yang Zi was a little surprised. Lin Xuan smiled and stretched out his hand. Covering the hand that Yang Zi stretched over. And with a light touch. He directly hugged Yang Zi's entire body into his arms. Yang Zi exclaimed. Trying to break free from Lin Xuan's arms. But it was a pity that she broke free for a long time. But couldn't break free. Lin Xuan could only take himself into his arms. Feeling the softness of Yang Zi's body and smelling the scent of her body. Lin Xuan took a deep breath. With a tenderness in her eyes. She looked down at Yang Zi and whispered in her ear, Zi. You see, we also have a baby now. So I want to call you by another name. My wife. Okay. Of course. You can also call me husband. If you don't want to be husband. You can also call me brother. Darling. Dear. You can call me whatever you like. Feeling the warmth coming from her ears. Yang Zi felt that her body had become a little soft. Her heart thumped and became a little unable to think. Seeing that she didn't answer. Lin Xuan smiled slightly and said softly in her ear, wife. Hearing Lin Xuan's voice. Yang Zi outlined a beautiful arc around her mouth. And accepted Lin Xuan's name in her heart. But let her call Lin Xuan her husband. Darling or something. She still couldn't say it. Just as she was thinking about how to break free from Lin Xuan's arms. The baby's cry came from the bedroom on the other side. Wow, this made her breathe a sigh of relief and quickly whispered, Lin Xuan. Let me go. The baby is crying. No, my wife. You haven't called my husband yet. When you call my husband, I will let you go. This is an opportunity. How could Lin Xuan just give up like this? Wife. I'm your man. What can't you call me? Come on. Call my husband. I want to hear my wife call my husband. Lin Xuan said very domineeringly. This. Hearing the baby's cry in the room. Yang Zi struggled inwardly. She understood that if she was not called Lin Xuan, he would definitely not let her go. I had to scornfully said. Old. Husband, in a word. A smile appeared on Lin Xuan's face for an instant. Hey. But. Can you let me go? No problem. Wife. After getting a satisfactory answer. Lin Xuan slowly let go of Yang Zi. Yang Zi gave Lin Xuan a white look. Hurriedly ran out of the room and entered the bedroom where the babies were. Lin Xuan let out a foul breath and left the room and entered the baby's bedroom. In the room, Yang Zi was coaxing Bao. Wife. What's wrong with the baby? Are you hungry? No, the diaper is wet and dirty. Yang Zi shook her head, glanced at Bao's wet diaper, and explained. Is the diaper wet and dirty? Bao smells bad. Lin Xuan walked in and looked at Bao's diaper wet. And it was really dirty. My wife. Let me change the baby's diaper and wet it. So you can guide me by the side. Yang Zi thought for a while. Lin Xuan wants to take care of the babies by himself tonight. So he should teach him how to change their diapers. Okay. Come here. I will teach you. The first thing to do is to make preparations. You need to clean your hands to prevent the bacteria on the hands of parents from contaminating the diapers when changing diapers for the baby. The top of the new diaper is placed behind the baby's waist. When the baby's bowel volume is large, a layer of cloth or paper should be placed on the new diaper to prevent the new diaper from being soiled when cleaning the baby's buttocks. Open the adhesive part of the dirty diaper. Fold it. And pull down the front piece. You can use the front piece of the diaper to clean the baby's buttocks. Grab the baby's ankle and lift it up. Place the other hand on the dirty diaper so that the clean side faces. Hold your baby's buttocks to prevent your baby's dirty buttocks from staining the clean diapers. Use a wet tissue or gauze soaked in warm water to clean your baby's butt. And the folds of your baby's legs and buttocks must be wiped clean. The front piece of the new diaper is up until it covers the baby's belly. It is best not to cover the baby's belly button when the newborn baby uses diapers, which is not conducive to the healthy growth of the baby. In order to prevent your baby from feeling uncomfortable when using diapers, the diapers between the baby's thighs should be flat. When sticking diapers, stick them according to the baby's body shape, not too tight. And then check whether all the laces are turned out. The laces are not beautiful. They are leak-proof. And they will leak urine if they are not turned out. Be prepared to change the baby's diapers. Wet tissues and wet towels for wiping the baby's butt. Yang Zi explained to the side. Lin Xuan listened carefully and asked Yang Zi while changing the baby's wet diaper. Seeing that Lin Xuan didn't show disgust because of the baby's smell, Yang Zi pursed her mouth and nodded. After changing his diaper and getting wet, Bao stopped crying. But there were still some tears in his eyes. Baby, come to daddy to hug you. Looking at the tears in the little daughter's eyes, Lin Xuan held Bao in his arms with distress and gently wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. Wife, I took the babies to my room. Go. But you still have to pay attention at night. Bao is still sleeping. It is estimated that when he wakes up at night, he will be very funny and have to accompany him. If you can't hold on, remember to call me. Yang Zi nodded, exhorting again and again. No problem. Wife. Bao. Go with Dad. Dad will take you to my bedroom first. And let Dad accompany you today. Lin Xuan kissed Bao's little cheek. And his tone was very gentle. Bao was amused by his father's action. And suddenly laughed. Wife. Look. Bao is smiling at me. Second treasure. Sleep with Dad. Be obedient. Mom will not accompany you tonight. Yang Zi got up, came to Bao's body, stroked her little head, and gave a good-night kiss on her little cheek. Wife. What about me? Seeing his wife kissing Bao, Lin Xuan also wanted to be kissed by his wife. Looking at Yang Zi expectantly, Yang Zi gave Lin Xuan a white look. Looked at his naked upper body. Thought for a moment. Took out her pink pajamas from the closet and handed it to Lin Xuan. Wife. Are you Isn't it for me to wear it? Lin Xuan was taken aback as he watched his wife hand it over. Her own pajamas. Yang Zi chuckled. And suddenly smiled like a flower. And Lin Xuan couldn't help but think of Lin Xuan in her pink pajamas. Otherwise? You can't be naked all night. Right? It's not good for the babies to see. This. Okay. Lin Xuan hesitated. This is his wife's pajamas. And it is not someone else's. You can wear it yourself. Anyway. At home. Taking the pajamas and smelling it. Lin Xuan smiled and said, there is still a wife's smell on it. Hearing that. Yang Zi blushed. And Lin Xuan turned white. Okay. It's getting late. I'll send Debeo over and rest early. Good wife. Lin Xuan held the second treasure. And Yang Zi held the big treasure. And walked into Lin Xuan's bedroom together. Yang Zi carefully put the big treasure on the bed and let him continue to sleep. Then I took Debeo. Erbao's milk powder cans. Baby bottles. And diapers all wet. Erbao. Stay in the room with Dad. Take a good rest. Mom is over. Good night. Oh, Erbao was in his father's arms and looked at his mother strangely. As if to say again. Won't mother sleep with us? My wife. Go and rest. Good night. Well. Good night to you too. Wife. Didn't you call your husband just now? Why did it change this time? Just now that was. Seeing Lin Xuan's expectant gaze. Yang Zi could only whisper, husband. Good night. After speaking. He left the bedroom shyly. Yang Zi ran into her bedroom. Took the door. And fell on the bed. Remembering that she was in the bedroom with Lin Xuan just now. Stroking his strong body. And Lin Xuan asking her to call her husband. Yang Zi only felt that her face was getting hotter and hotter. Well. I don't know if Lin Xuan can take good care of the babies. After a while. Yang Zi became worried again. Worried about whether Lin Xuan can take good care of the babies. If the babies wake up at night and cry to find their mother. Then Lin Xuan probably cannot cope with it alone. Lying on the bed. Yang Zi was thinking about it randomly. I don't know how long it took before she fell asleep. On the other side. Lin Xuan hasn't rested yet. Because Bao woke up just now. And he is not sleeping yet. Lin Xuan is accompanying Bao. Baby. My father will take care of you in the future. And my mother. After a while. When my father buys a house. We will move and go to a new house. Okay. Oh, congratulations to the host. I finished changing the baby's diaper and damp. And rewarded a mid to large SUV worth 2 million yuan. The 3.0 V6 supercharged engine is far more powerful. The entire cabin is very quiet during driving. Wind noise. Tire noise and environmental noise are well controlled. The car has been parked in the parking space of the community. And the key is on the desk of the room. Reward a single-family villa with a value of 50 million yuan and 5 bedrooms and 2 halls. The location of the villa is in the garden in the center of the lake. The real estate certificate and related procedures have been placed on the table of the room. Reward a bottle of spiritual water. Ling Shui, after drinking it. It has the effect of strengthening the body. Congratulations to the host. For gaining superpower. On the way of growing up. Children and mothers all need the protection of the host. Hearing the voice of the system. Lin Xuan was overjoyed. Unexpectedly. He changed the baby's diaper and the system could reward so many things. If in the future. When the babies are older. Teach them to recognize. Sing. Etc. Wouldn't it be possible to reward them with more? Thinking of this, Lin Xuan was in a good mood. But soon I got a headache again. How should I explain the car and the house to my wife? I just moved today. And I own a villa. If I move again, I guess my wife will have doubts in her heart. If the car is enough to explain. If the house is the case, I will explain it to my wife next week. By the way, can I add my wife's name on the system? The real estate certificate? Yes. But it's very troublesome. You know the host. This is rewarded by the system. Suddenly add your wife's name. Lin Xuan nodded. This is indeed a bit troublesome. If you want to add your wife's name, you have to tell your wife in advance. Get your wife's ID card. And then go through the formalities. Let's talk about this in a few days. Think about how to explain the car to my wife. Oh, Bao looked at his father curiously. Babbling in his mouth. As if to say. Why did his father ignore her? Oh. Baby. It's Dad's fault. Dad didn't ignore you. He just thought about another question. Next week. Next week Dad will take you to your new home. Okay. The new home is several times bigger than here. Tomorrow Dad will drive the car and take you out to buy you new clothes. Okay. Oh, accompanied by Bao for more than an hour. Bao twisted his body on the bed, looking at his father aggrievedly. Lin Xuan looked at Bao's aggrieved gaze and glanced suspiciously at the wet diaper. Not dirty. Is it hungry? Baby. Are you hungry? Lin Xuan asked, looking at Bao tenderly. Yeah. Bao chirped. Wait. Dad will prepare milk powder for you right away. Don't cry. Lin Xuan comforted Bao quickly and got up to prepare milk powder for Bao. When the baby cries, he feels distressed. So he must prepare the milk powder before Bao cries and feed it. Yang Zi taught him how to mix milk powder for the baby for the second time. And everything was familiar to him. After a while, Lin Xuan mixed the milk powder, feeling the temperature of the milk in some milk bottles, suitable for the baby to eat. Lin Xuan quickly took the bottle and came to Bao, holding Bao cautiously in his arms and feeding him milk. After Bao finished his milk, he slowly fell asleep in his father's arms. Seeing Bao asleep, Lin Xuan's eyes flashed with tenderness. I shook Bao's small hand, which was very soft and a little fleshy. He placed Bao carefully next to Bao and covered her with a quilt. Lin Xuan gently got up from the bed and cleaned Bao's milk bottle. By the time these are processed, it is already 12 o'clock in the evening. Lin Xuan looked at the two sleeping babies, dimmed the light in the room slightly, and then got into the bed. I don't know how long it took. Lin Xuan opened his eyes instantly when he heard Bao's movement. As soon as he opened his eyes, he stood up and looked at Bao, who also happened to look at his father. Looking at Bao, who had just woke up, Lin Xuan said softly, Baby. Wake up. Are you hungry? Dad will give you milk. Bao was lying on the bed, twisting his body. It seemed a little uncomfortable. Bao. Is it smelly? Lin Xuan lifted the quilt and looked at Bao's wet diaper, and found that it was dirty. Bao. Don't worry. Dad will change your diaper right away. Don't cry. After comforting the baby, Lin Xuan got up quickly and prepared a clean wet diaper for Bao. Following the method of changing Bao's wet diapers at night, he changed his diapers for Bao. Oh, Dad knows. Bao is hungry. Wait a moment. Dad will prepare milk powder for you right away. Lin Xuan smiled slightly and prepared milk powder for Debeo. After the milk powder was mixed, he held Debeo in his arms and fed Debeo his milk. Debeo was sucking on the pacifier, drinking milk while looking at his father. Looking at Debeo's eyes. The small face was almost the same as the one carved out of a mold when he was a child. Secretly sighed in my heart. Fortunately Debeo. The second treasure was awake separately. If they both wake up, they will definitely be in a hurry on their own. When Z took care of two babies alone, one can imagine how difficult it is. When Debeo finished drinking his milk, he fell asleep in a daze. Seeing Debeo was asleep, Lin Xuan gently put him on the bed, covered the quilt, washed the bottle, and then continued to lie on the bed. In one night, Debeo and Erbao woke up twice. Either because they were hungry or their diapers were wet. After Lin Xuan put Debeo to sleep, the sky was almost bright. Huh. It's fortunate that I have taken the reborn bone renewal pills. Otherwise, it's really not easy. Seeing the sky light up outside, Lin Xuan let out a sigh of relief. Looking at the time, it was already around 6 in the morning. Lin Xuan continued to squint for a while. And when he woke up from the bed after 7 in the morning, Lin Xuan kissed their cheeks while watching the sleeping babies. Take a bite. And then gently walk out of the room. Prepare breakfast in the morning. Breakfast does not need to be complicated. Just cook some meat porridge. While making the porridge, Lin Xuan took out the spirit water, opened the bottle, and dropped 2 drops into the pot. At about 8 o'clock in the morning, Yang Zi woke up from bed and stretched her waist. It was the first time she slept so well in this long time. In the past, there was no such good sleep because of the need to take care of the baby. I don't know if Lin Xuan takes care of the baby, and didn't come in and call herself last night. Lying on the bed, Yang Zi thought to herself. Sit up from the bed. Changed his pajamas. Changed his clothes. Opened the door. And heard the movement from the kitchen. Yang Zi walked over curiously. Seeing the busy figure in the kitchen and wearing the pink pajamas she gave last night, Yang Zi covered her belly and suddenly laughed. You know, Lin Xuan was originally very strong. But he was wearing pink pajamas. Which was very funny. Lin Xuan heard the sound, turned around and found that Yang Zi was awake. Still standing at the door, clutching his belly and laughing. He also pursed his lips and smiled. Wife, I woke up so early. So don't you sleep more. I woke up thinking of the babies. Lin, husband. How was last night? The babies didn't cry. Did they? Thinking of what happened last night, Yang Zi originally wanted to call Lin Xuan's name, but she changed her name midway. No, the babies also slept well last night. Although they woke up twice in the middle, they didn't cry. And now the babies are still sleeping. Oh. By the way, my wife. I plan to buy a car later. Buy a car? Yes. If we have a car, it is more convenient for us to go out. After the car is in hand, we can also take the babies to the maternity store to buy clothes, milk powder, and wet diapers for the babies. In addition, I also want to take you to buy some clothes. I see there are not many clothes in your closet. It's really good to buy a car. What price do you want to buy? I have the 50,000 yuan you gave me last time. I will transfer it to you later. Yang Zi nodded and bought the car. It is indeed more convenient to travel. No, wife. You take the money. Your husband and I have money. Let me support you and the babies in the future. Lin Xuan shook his head and smiled. He now has 500,000 yuan rewarded by the system and a rewarded car. He doesn't need his wife's money at all. Well, I will have dinner later. And I will wait for you at home with the babies. Okay. 10 minutes later. Lin Xuan put the meat porridge in the pot into a bowl and put it on the table. It smells so good. Yang Zi smelled the aroma of the meat porridge in the bowl and exclaimed. As long as my wife likes it. My husband can cook it for you for the rest of my life. Husband. Thank you. Didn't you tell me? You don't need to use honorific words with my husband. So I can't say thank you to my husband anymore. You know. Lin Xuan reminded him. Okay. I see. Looking at Lin Xuan's gaze. Yang Zi gave a smile and nodded. My wife. Come and taste it. How about the meat porridge I made? Lin Xuan handed the spoon to Yang Zi. Okay. My husband's food is so delicious. Presumably this meat porridge is not bad. I'm a good one. As long as the wife likes it. My wife. I think we can take some time to get the marriage certificate. The babies are not registered yet. After the marriage certificate is issued, we will register the baby. In addition, I plan to take you home this summer vacation and see my parents. If they know that I have married such a beautiful wife and 2 little babies, they will be very happy. Everything is up to you. But will your parents recognize me? After all, we belong to. Don't worry. Wife. My parents are very talkative and will definitely recognize you. By the way, why were you alone in the bar that time? That time. It was a friend of mine who had a heart attack and left. It was a good friend of mine. Because of this incident, his mood was affected. So he went to the bar. Hearing this, Yang Zi stared blankly and said sadly.